So next up, we will want to find the integral of secant cubed x dx. Okay, so in order to find that, again, we will be using integration by parts. So let's just write down the formula. And remember that we will be choosing our u according to iolate. So let's just write that down. Inverse trig, logarithmic, algebraic, trig functions, and exponential functions. Okay, and so we see that we have the inverse trig function of secant x. And so we are going to state that u is equal to secant x, and dv is going to be equal to secant squared x dx. This will mean that du will give us secant x tan x dx, and v will give us tan x. So we're going to plug that all back into our formula, and we get the integral of secant cubed x dx is equal to uv, so secant x tan x minus the integral of v du. Yeah. And so tan x multiplied by secant x tan x, so that's going to be tan squared x secant x dx. Okay, and so again, we will need to figure out how to get this integral. And so let's go about doing that. We can get rid of the, that tan squared x is going to be equal to secant squared x minus 1. So let's go ahead and put that in here. And so we get the integral of tan squared x secant x over dx is equal to the integral of secant squared x minus 1 into secant x dx. And when we multiply that out, that would be equal to the integral of secant cubed x minus secant x dx. This is cubed. And then furthermore, we can rewrite this by separating it using the integral of f of x plus g of x is equal to the integral of f of x plus the integral of g of x. And so this is going to be equal to the integral of secant cubed x dx minus the integral of secant x dx. And so now let's write that all into what we initially have up here. And so the integral of secant cubed x dx is equal to secant x tan of x minus the integral of, so this is what we had, this is equal to, so the integral of secant cubed x dx plus, because minus of minus is positive, the integral of secant x dx. What we're going to do is, we don't know this is what we're trying to find, so we're going to bring it over to the other side so we can isolate it. And this will give us 2 multiplied by the integral of secant cubed x dx is equal to secant x tan of x plus the integral of secant x dx. So now we need to go about finding this, and then once we add the two, we're going to divide them by 2 in order to find our final answer. And so how we can go about finding the integral of secant x dx is we will actually multiply the entire thing by tan x plus secant x over tan x plus secant x. So we're going to state simply that 1 is equal to secant x plus tan x over secant x plus tan x. So we're going to multiply this by 1. And so we get the integral of secant x multiplied by plus tan x all over secant x plus tan x dx. And so we're going to write this out again to get secant squared x plus tan x secant x over secant x plus tan x dx. And then we go about solving this by setting u is equal to tan x plus secant x, which means that du over dx is going to give us secant x multiplied by tan x plus secant squared x, which is exactly what we need for it to cancel, because this will mean dx is equal to du over all of that. And so when you put it in, we get that the integral of secant x dx is going to be equal to the integral of secant squared x plus tan x secant x over u multiplied by du over the same thing. These two are going to cancel, and we're going to get that this is equal to the integral of 1 over u du. And we know that this will give us ln of the magnitude of u plus c, but we're not going to write that right now because this is not what we're looking. This is not our end goal. Our end goal, we always need to remember, is the integral of secant cubed x. And this is just a part of that. So we'll add the plus c at the complete end. So for now, we just write back in what our u is. And so we know that the integral of secant x dx is going to be ln of u, so the magnitude of tan x plus secant x. Okay, and so now we put all of that back into what we have here. And so we have 2, the integral of secant cubed x is going to be equal to secant x tan x plus the ln of the magnitude of tan x plus secant x, because that's what we got. Remember this integral as? And so let's add the plus c now. Actually, let's move over the 2 first, so over 2. And so we got the integral of secant cubed x is equal to secant x tan x plus the ln of the magnitude of tan x plus secant x all over 2. And then now is when we can add our plus c, because this is our final product. So plus c. And that is going to be our final answer.